Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am bringing you yet another kind of different video. I don't really know, but as I've said, my editing and video style is a little bit experimental, and I kind of like being in voiceover form, not gonna lie, because it's kind of nice not having to show my face. I'm kind of getting used to it, but anyway, we'll see what happens in the future. But anyway, instead of staring at my face today, we are going to be staring at this beautiful, breathtaking book cover of *CAPSULE* by MEL TORREFRANCA, which is the book that I'm going to be reviewing today. So if you don't know who MEL TORREFRANCA is, let me just give you a little bit of info on her. She is an entrepreneur, YouTuber, and also a author, published author, and her debut novel, *Leaving Wishville*, came out last year of 2020, which I have still yet to get my hands on, unfortunately, but I was able to get an art copy, an ebook art copy of her second novel, which is releasing tomorrow as we speak. I am so excited and happy, and I'm so proud of her, and I am so excited for people to read this book because my heart, I literally finished it last night, and my heart is so full but also broken at the same time. Thanks a lot, Mel. I want this book to get the attention that it deserves, because it definitely deserves it. I've been watching Mel for a while now, and she is so inspiring to me as a young writer myself, even though I don't really show that on my channel. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm also a writer, quote unquote writer. I'm still working on it, unfortunately, or fortunately, you know. I'm a work in progress. We're all work in progresses. Anyway, so I've been supporting Mel for the longest time, and I've always wanted to read her books. *Leaving Wishville* I still have yet to buy, still haven't gotten around to it. I always keep forgetting about it, which is dumb of me. But when she announced that she was giving out ARC copies of her second novel, *CAPSULE*, I was so on board with it. I was like, okay, let's do this. But I guess *CAPSULE* is officially the first ARC that I've ever received, so I'm so excited about that. I've never gotten an ARC. If you don't know what an ARC is, it's an advanced reader copy, which is a free copy of a book that is about to release. So publishers, authors, or anyone involved in the industry, I believe, distributes these ARC copies prior to the release date of the book. So here is my review on *CAPSULE*. I hope you guys enjoy. Welcome to level 2, where I give you the description or the premise or the synopsis, whatever you want to call it, of *CAPSULE* by MEL TORREFRANCA. Obviously, in order for you to be interested in the book, you obviously need to know what it's about. So I'm just gonna read you the Goodreads synopsis. So the description says, two students from Brookwood High School mysteriously go missing on the same night. The first is Peter Moon, a heartless pescatarian who bashes students from Brookwood on his blog, turning everyone against him. The second is the adored Kat Pike, an audacious girl desperate to boost her adrenaline. Same. 3 days pass, no leads. Indifferent to the disappearances, 16-year-old Jackie Mendoza remains immersed in her virtual worlds of video games and online friends. But when a menacing app by the name of *CAPSULE* downloads itself onto Jackie's phone, she enters a game interlaced with reality, a game threatening to erase Peter and Kat forever. Only Jackie can save them now, but *CAPSULE* is the most rootless game she's ever played. MEL TORREFRANCA delivers a heart-wrenching thriller about unlikely friendships, bittersweet memories, and a never-ending search for answers best left forgotten. So I thought we would start with the cons, the things that I did not like. First, because I want to end on a good note, I want to do the cons first just to get them out of the way. So this book is classified as a sci-fi thriller, and Mel did say that the sci-fi part, the sci-fi element, is pretty subtle. It has like undertones of sci-fi, let's just say that. It's not your typical high stakes, action-packed sci-fi, at least in my opinion. It didn't read like that to me, at least. It was slow paced and it was hard to get through, at least at the beginning. So I was having trouble with the writing. Let's just start with the writing. I believe that this type of writing is extremely subjective, but in my opinion, for me at least, this type of writing is kind of distracting to the reader at times. At least for me, this is all my opinion, by the way. I felt like some things could have been phrased better, could have been worded better, in a way that gets the point across to the reader in a better way in general. There were things that felt awkward. There were also some repetitiveness in the writing, some phrases, some characteristics, some descriptions that were just used from time to time, and I would just get distracted because I would catch them. I also felt the writing was a barrier between me and the characters. I couldn't really immerse, I couldn't really lose myself in the story. I guess I was too aware that I was reading a book, that I was reading something that an author wrote. I just couldn't immerse myself. I couldn't lose myself. Well, that changed. I will say that changed towards the end, but at the beginning, this was my thoughts. The last bit of the book really changed the game. Get it? The game really changed the game for me, which I will get to in the prose section. I'll also put some trigger warnings on the screen, or I'll just put them in the description so that you're aware of what you're getting into. So the writing, I'm kind of 50-50, or I have mixed feelings on the writing, but there were also some awkward descriptions here and there. I think one of the paragraphs was the desk leaned against the wall or something like that, or his eyes shook as if a demon possessed him. There was just unnecessary description added, and I just felt like it could have been described in a simpler way. I was expecting a little bit more from the ending, and also expecting some explanation of the game Capsule. At times, the descriptions and the way the game was written, the way it was described, it just felt a little bit cheesy to me. It didn't feel like a high stakes, life-threatening game. Despite it being a little cheesy, I did find some uniqueness to it. So overall, the writing wasn't my favorite, but it also wasn't my least favorite. It wasn't the worst. It's not like this book is the worst. The concept of the game itself is unique, but I feel like the execution wasn't all there. Anyway, I'm done talking about the bad stuff. Let's just get to the good stuff, because that's what you're here for. I'm so excited. Okay, let's go to the good stuff now. So my top three, because I literally wrote in my notes the exact chapters that were my favorite. So the first chapter was 1749-02, because this book is not divided in the traditional chapters, like chapter 1, chapter 2. It's divided in 5 levels, like in a game. So there's press start, level 1, level 2, and then claim reward, which I thought was so cool. And also, since it was an ebook copy, you could actually press it to get to that exact chapter, so it just felt like a video game. I don't know, it felt really cool. The whole formatting of this book was also really fun. So 1749-02 was the first chapter that I deemed my favorite, because it was when the trio got together, like actually got together, and I felt like the whole book changed for me from that point on. When they actually got together, the chemistry, the dynamic was just so electrifying, if that makes sense. It was just so heartwarming, and I was screaming. And then I said, update, level 3 is getting on my feels. I can't. There's another reason why this book is called Capsule. And it was 7-12-13. I said 7-12-13 is my new favorite chapter. I can't. Any book that makes me go into an existential crisis automatically gets bonus points from me. So this book really makes you think about life, actually. Like life as a video game. We're constantly wanting, or some people want to get to the next level. Some people are eager to get to the next level of life. I also really liked the parallels that this book had to video games, between video games and real life. There were several instances where I actually gasped out loud and just went, holy crap, that is a good parallel, that is a good comparison to video games in real life. I don't know what it is. I think it's quarantine. I think it's just quarantine getting to my brain too much, but I've been thinking a lot about life and philosophical things. So I'm just automatically interested in books that make you think about life in a new light, or just give you a little bit of insight into life. So this book really did that. When I was applying to be an ARC reader for this book, I did not sign up to go to an existential crisis, but I'm not mad about it, you know? I love it when writers make their readers go into existential crisis. You know, we love that. We love making writers love making readers go crazy. And then I said, never mind, it's 6/24/09, my favorite chapter. I am screaming, all capital letters. You can't see my notes. I'm not gonna put them on the screen because they're kind of personal, but so yeah, those are my top 3 favorite chapters: 17:49:02, 7:12:13, and 6:24:09. 6:24:09 especially, can I just say? Okay, can we just talk about Jackie, one of the main characters? I also did not expect, by the way, this book switching between the 3 people's perspectives. It was a really interesting way to tell the story, because it kind of gave us an insight and a look into the other lives of the characters, and I just felt like if the whole book was told from Jackie's point of view, we wouldn't have been able to get that really from her point of view. Okay, can we just gush about Jackie for a second? Jackie is me. I already said that in my live reaction clips, but again, when I was signing up to be an ARC reader, I did not sign up to get personally attacked, but any book that personally attacks me also automatically gets bonus points for me, because I loved being attacked. When I was reading that chapter, 6:24:09, that whole thing was about Jackie, and we got more into her, and some people might think the things that she was angry about, or the things that she was frustrated about, people might think that's petty, that's just stupid, that's silly, but at her age, I think it's okay. I think it's realistic, because I think I've experienced those things myself as a teen as well. I mean, I definitely have. I mean, based on how much I was gushing about it, I've related to Jackie so much. The amount of relatability that I found in her character was just so unexpected and such a surprise. Jackie is honestly my new comfort character. I also love, by the way, the Filipina culture representation, because I am Filipino myself. There's so much to talk about. Let's go in order. Let's talk about the characters first. The character arcs, especially Jackie's character arc. Jackie basically became my lifeline. I could not live anymore if I wasn't reading about her. So I'm a very shy person. I'm a very quiet person as well. I consider myself pretty observant, but if you would like to get to know me but not interact with me personally, then read this book, because basically my whole life story is there. The only difference between her and I is that I'm not a gamer. The rest is basically the same. I mean, she has a brother, I have a sister, so we have that one sibling relationship going on. And I also find myself feeling what she was feeling in the book. I'm gonna have a little bit of a confession time here, but I look up to my sister, but there are certain times where I certainly felt jealousy toward, honestly, honesty is important to me. I like being authentic in front of you, so I'm just gonna admit that. There are times where I try to make friends. This is gonna sound stupid, but there were instances in my life where I would just cry out of nowhere. There was this one instance where I was in a drama workshop. I'm not an actress. I'm not wanting to act in front of people. So I don't know why I joined that workshop in the first place. I guess my mom wanted me to go out of my comfort zone for a bit, but one day during that workshop, I just bursted into tears for some reason. I was crying. We were all in a circle and I was just crying. People were looking at me. They were giving me weird looks, and I was so ashamed of myself. I was so embarrassed. And when we were performing the play that we were working on, I saw my sister. She also joined the same workshop, but she was in a different class. She was so happy. I looked at her. I remember the exact look on her face. She was so happy. She was talking. She was actually talking to people making friends while I was on the other side of the stage and people were just looking at her and they asked me, "Is that your sister?" And I nodded. And I just felt like at that moment I wanted to die. I wanted to fall off the stage and die. Anyway, let's not get too personal. This is a book review. I'm not trying to tell you my whole life story, but Jackie basically encapsulates, I will say she perfectly encapsulates my character and who I am as a person. It was just so refreshing because people truly underestimate how powerful it can be to see yourself represented in a character in a novel. Though they may be fictional, they may not be real, it just gives you a little bit of comfort, in a life that is already full of chaos and, high stakes. Life is a high stakes video game. You need to have that one comfort character, And Jackie, she's me. She's literally me. And Jackie is portrayed in the novel as being quite a selfish person. And I will admit, I'm pretty selfish at times. I don't like that about me, but I'm working on it. Hopefully. Hopefully. Anyway, Jackie is pretty selfish. She doesn't want to make friends. I truly think though, deep down, it wasn't directly mentioned, but deep down, I do feel like she cares. She actually wants to help people. She actually wants to make connections with people. But in the way I interpret her character, I just feel like she's scared at taking risks and risking losing people as friends. I don't know, I felt so attached to her. I felt so bad. And by the end and throughout the book, just seeing her character arc shine, just seeing her grow and develop and going out of her comfort zone to help people and to reach out to people and to get to know people was just truly a treasure, a precious, it was so precious. This book also talks a lot about being judgmental or first impressions, because you truly just don't know what a person is going through unless you reach out to them and talk to them. And I love how Jackie, she was able to overcome her fears, and by the end, oh my goodness, the ending, she finally reached out. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I just loved seeing her grow basically, and also getting to know the other characters. Can I just say, I am basically 4 of the characters in Capsule. I am all 4 of these characters. Jackie, most especially, if that wasn't clear already, I am Jackie. But also, I think I'm a little bit of Kat as well, and Peter and Whitney. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this because it is an arc, but it is releasing tomorrow, so I don't know if it matters, but Kat, she has this whole thing where she is not like quote unquote others because she doesn't experience emotions the same way others do. I'm not gonna spoil exactly, but she has this thing where she fights to feel something. She wants to prove to herself and to others that she is quote unquote a normal human and that she cries. Throughout the second half of the book, we get to know her a bit more. We get to know the little details. We get to know what is eating up inside of her, and she truly felt like a piece of me. There are times where I also wanted to cry. I wanted to feel something. I wanted to portray emotions the same way others do in normal situations, like when someone dies or when something horrible happens. I don't know. I think most of the times when I've cried, some of the times that I've cried, it felt forced as well, and it didn't feel genuine. I cried because I felt like I had to, not because I wanted to, not because I actually genuinely wanted to cry. I just felt like I had to in that moment because it was appropriate in that moment. I think this book really is unique in its characters as well. I've never seen these kinds of characters being portrayed in a young adult novel before. I've seen the occasionally, quiet girl being represented, but not to the extent of Jackie's character in this book, because it literally is on the same level with me. The other quiet, shy characters that I've read about, I could relate to them just on a small level, but Jackie, I literally relate to her on all levels, in everything. I am emotionally connected with her. I just want to make a whole video talking about Jackie. Can I just do that? But yeah, Kat, I felt for Kat. Basically, I just felt her emotions and I felt what she longed for. Seeing her develop as well was really interesting. And then we have Peter, who is the most despised student in all of Brookwood in their school. And like one of the quotes in this book, you can bully a bully, you can murder a murderer, right? So that part was really like, oh, it made me have realizations that I did not expect, but I wasn't mad about them. Peter, he bashes students frequently and just all the time on his blog. I'm not gonna spoil, but learning what happens to him and learning what was inside, what was eating up inside of him as well, was just heartbreaking. And it truly goes to show that you don't know what people are going through. Seeing all these characters honestly was just so nice. And also Whitney, although she was a side character, she was constantly flaking on her friend Kat. She was a friend of Kat's. She was constantly flaking. If you don't know what that means, it's like when someone invites you to something and you'll say you'll be there and you'll do it, and then at the last minute you'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't go, or something like that. You know, last minute you'll cancel on them and they're already doing the thing without you. Again, confession time, I kind of do that to my friends. I'm not proud of it, but I can't help it sometimes, you know? And it hurts. It hurts to see your flaws in these characters, honestly. It just felt personally attacking me, but also it felt really good because I felt seen. I felt like all the things that I've felt, all the things that I've done, all the things that, while they're not justified, just seeing them in this book made me understand myself better on a deeper level that I've never gone before. But I feel like the author really mastered the characters and the arcs, the development, and portraying realistic human beings as human beings and not like a picture perfect cardboard cutout character. It really encapsulates, I'm gonna keep saying that word, it truly encapsulates what being human is like, the flaws of humans, the imperfections, but also how we're perfect in our imperfections. And oh my goodness, let's talk about something else, shall we? Something that will not make me break down in tears. Figurative tears, because I can't cry. Great atmosphere. This book has great atmosphere. I liked the way Mel was able to set a scene. I felt everything that the writing was describing, even though I was making some complaints about the writing, it made me feel things. So it's not bad writing for me. I think Mel has a talent in characters, atmosphere, because although this writing is direct, although it's straightforward, there are still some subtle things that I really love. I love subtlety. It's one of my new favorite things in books. I love it so much. I crave it so much. For example, in the beginning of Capsule, Jackie ignores this annoying boy in her class that's constantly like annoying her. I mean, he's annoying for a reason. And she completely ignores him, and she's literally me in the same situation. I don't know, people always try to talk to the quiet kids, and I'm just like, they're quiet for a reason. Yeah, Jackie, we can already tell, at least for me, I could already tell what she was like. She's pretty indifferent to everything that's going on. I like how these characters, also, I know I said I'll stop talking about the characters, but this review is so disorganized, I'm so sorry, but I love how the characters in here are portrayed as like a coin with two sides. Jackie, while observant, is also quite non-observant, if that makes sense. In the beginning of the book, this is not a spoiler, but she looks at this boy and she observes his eyes, and she's talking about his eyes. And I think other people had an issue with the description. It was dramatic, I think, to others, but for me, it felt significant because it showed how observant she was of the little details. But then she didn't realize that Peter Moon, the most despised student in school, was sitting next to her. She's locked herself up in isolation in her video games, and while she is still observant, she's also quite the opposite, if that makes sense. I like that. I honestly like that. It was really well done. And then I also wrote the portrayal of emotions, or the lack of them. I can't. This book is putting the feelings I haven't been able to express for so long and rooting out my deepest, innermost thoughts and spitting them out, revealing them in my face. I did not come here to be attacked, but okay. I've always had a struggle with words, but just seeing my thoughts written out for me, like if I can't do it, if I can't express myself then an author can do it for me, you know, someone else can do it for me, and I cannot with Jackie. I cannot go there again. And also I just love the way that these characters are so unlikable, because they are unlikable, and I love unlikable people, you know. I love them so much. They're little cinnamon rolls in my palm. Yeah, humans are unlikable, you know. There are humans that are unlikable, but it just takes a little bit of understanding to understand them, you know, and to know where they're coming from. So one thing I will say about Jackie, I don't love her completely. While I love her so much, and trust me, I do, there are some things that also I don't like about her, which is fine. As I've said, I like unlikable characters. I wrote here, unfortunately, at times she falls under the not like other girls category or trope, which we all know is a very unpopular one on BookTube. Everyone despises that, and I can see why. I said I did not like that aspect of her, and her dislike towards other girls was evident. However, I did like the twist that this book had on the characters. Normally, I would see the guy in YA books. Normally, I would see in YA books that the guy is the quiet gamer and the outcast, but it was refreshing to see a girl gamer who felt like she didn't belong or couldn't care to make friends. I also wrote, again, honestly, if there was a character that was the closest to mirroring my personality and traits, it would be Jackie. I also thought it was interesting to see seeing her struggle with the Filipino side of her. She had trouble embracing the cultural part of her identity and who she was as a person, and then looked down on it quite often and felt embarrassed about it. I think that the representation was important because I used to do that as well. I was ashamed of who I was and where I come from because we weren't as advanced as other countries and in other aspects, and I also found it hard to be proud of who I was. In time, I was able to overcome this, and I think a lot of people will like seeing that in this book, especially those who are having the same struggles as Jackie does in this book and having trouble connecting with their cultural identity. So it's clear that Jackie struggles with being a Filipino. She feels ashamed of even the smallest things. She feels ashamed of calling her brother kuya, which is the Filipino term you would use for brother. But just the slightest mention of anything Filipino makes her feel embarrassed, makes her ashamed of her identity, and honestly, it hurts to see that. Seeing Jackie, her character growth at the end was also just so touching. So yeah, I loved seeing her character growth. So I was also annotating this book, by the way. I was making little notes, and I was making huge notes, almost the length of a novel. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but you get the idea. I said the amount of times I said honestly same throughout this book is honestly insane. Take a shot every time I say that, and you wouldn't even have a huge hangover after that. You'd be dead. I also said, listen to sad music when you read the second half. Trust me, just trust me, it will enhance the experience. I was listening to sad music. It will enhance the experience. Again, I said, this book really takes you on a journey. And I mean a journey, not a thrilling journey, I would say, in the thriller department, although it is subjective, but in the making you think deeper about life than you probably should, and sending you down an existential crisis and making you lose your brain cells along the way type of journey. I think that's accurate. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the thriller aspect of this book, which I'm sad about, but I was a big fan of the other stuff in this book about the existential crisis. Yeah, I definitely did lose some brain cells, I'm not gonna lie. And then the last note that I said is that this book also takes place in a 24-hour period, so if that's your style, go for it. Personally, I'm really into it because it reads much faster. Okay, so the last things I'm gonna say is about Peter Moon and Kat Pike, so let's go. Peter Moon, a heartless, vicious blogger that deserves the world. Honestly, I really like his honesty. It's refreshing to see someone who's so direct and brutal with his words and not so abstract. Like soft guys? No, this guy goes for your neck and tears it out, rips it apart, and stuffs it back in between your head and body, making you speechless and uncomprehensive. I don't know if that made any sense, but I was just filled to the brim with my emotions at that moment, so I was kind of disoriented and delusional, so I don't think that made any sense. But Peter Moon, he has a big heart. He just doesn't show it. Kat Pike, I feel her on a spiritual level, on every emotional level there is. It's also really refreshing and cool to see such a different perspective. Someone who genuinely isn't genuine, if that makes sense. I guess it's like a coin type of deal. There are two sides to everything. Some people are good at crying and others have a different way of processing their emotions and feelings. Just because someone isn't crying doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Some people also can just easily move on from a situation. We're all just built differently. We need to stop being so judgmental of people, no matter if we agree or not with their beliefs or feelings, no matter how different they are from us. As you can tell, I was pretty emotional. I don't know if that made any sense either, but I like how this author, I liked how Mel was able to portray different people in her story. I really like that because it's so rare, and honestly, it's so unique in its characters. I've never seen characters that are portrayed like this. And honestly, I feel like, I keep saying honestly, I'm sorry, but I feel like in majority of the young adult novels that I've read in my lifetime, I feel like that some of the teenagers, young adults in those books are kind of aged up. The way they act just feels too mature, if that makes sense. Like, it just feels too old than what their age actually is and what people their age are actually like. I feel like authors tend to age up teenagers, like Six of Crows. I love Six of Crows, but those characters are not teenagers. You cannot tell me those are teenagers. They're full-grown adults. Most of the young adult novels that I've read completely changed and ruined my perception of how teenagers are. Capsule, the characters in Capsule, they're teenagers, but they felt like so real. They felt like real teenagers. I feel like this is exactly how teenagers are supposed to act. So I think that officially ends my gush session of Capsule because my throat is aching. But wow, I think that's all I had to say. So on to level 5, which will just be a short little summary, short little overall thing, sum up, I guess. I don't really know, but overall, I really think this book is worth it. I think you should check it out. Capsule releases tomorrow, so I highly recommend you guys check it out. As you could tell from this long review, or I think it's gonna be long, I had a lot of fun. I honestly did. It was a good time. But please check out Capsule. Links will be in the description for all the information. I'm so proud of Mel if you're watching this. I don't know if you'll be watching this, but I want to thank you for writing this book, for portraying these real people as real people, and not sugarcoating anything really. It was really fun, and I really appreciate all the hard work that you've done, everything that you've put into this book. It was just beautiful to see it come together, and I'd want a sequel. I think I really do want a sequel. I want to see more of Jackie. You cannot tell me that Jackie's story ends there. You cannot. You really can't. So anyway, check out Capsule. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you in the next video, I guess. Thank you for coming to my podcasty type style video thing. It's confusing, really. Sorry. This is confusing. I actually really like this though. I like the podcasty type thing. I feel really fancy. I don't know. Also, I hope you guys enjoyed the editing in this video, because mostly the editing in this video is inspired by Capsule itself. The way that it's formatted, I really like the way that this book was formatted. I wanted to incorporate that in my editing, so I hope it shows and I hope it does the job well. I don't know. But anyway, I'll say goodbye now. Check out Capsule, check out Mel. I will link all her information down below. Go support her, watch her videos. She's amazing. I love every video that she does, all the content that she makes. And I will see you guys in the next video. Go claim your reward now.